Let's get ready for Tuesday. 7 games in the NBA. Let's talk about where the stream value is. It's your championship week. It's your second last week of Roto. I'm guessing Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and you're never going to be able to figure out whether this is AI or not. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshlloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball. I don't think AI would make that mistake. And on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com and sign up for our free newsletters for your favorite team. It's easy, it's done, it's 5 days a week. And you can also double bang over here. Just don't unbang. Can you reverse bang? Don't do that. Just keep the subs going. No point in unsubscribing. We've got so much stuff going on all through the rest of the season. Plus, some absolute bangers coming through the off-season. All the way through. All the way. What else am I going to do? Spend time with my thoughts? Jesus Christ. Are you okay? Let's look at Tuesday's games. It is National Trombone Players Day. So if you are a tromboner, if you have a brand new trombone or an old and rusty one, whatever it is, today is your day to celebrate. So get the old and let's get into talking about the games. Let's talk about the schedule. How's my trombone impression? You liked it? Let's look at where the schedule sits. Let's take a look at the moves that we can make to make sense of that. Remembering this week, we're talking a week where you're probably able to stream the first 6 days of the week, and then 11 games on Sunday does make it tough. There are 10 on Friday. That's a borderline one, and you've got to adjust your strategy and your team's structure based on whether you're going to have the ability on Friday to add someone in or not. If we talk about back-to-backs, there are 3 teams that go Monday to Tuesday, so 3 teams coming into Tuesday: Chicago, Memphis, and Orlando. The interesting development here is Ja Morant is playing on Monday for Memphis, so I'm going to guess, coming back off the hamstring injury, he is out on Tuesday. That is how I'm basing the projections. With Orlando, Cole Anthony has been upgraded to questionable. Now, I would say, given how long he's been out with his toe injury, there's no chance he plays both of them. But an upgrade to questionable on Monday for Cole suggests that he plays in one. Although, the Magic have been pretty annoying with that sort of stuff all season. Random questionable upgrades on back-to-backs, and they don't play either. But for the most part, you feel good that Cole's going to play one of those two. And the other one in Chicago is Vanderpants Kevin Huerter, who almost certainly plays on Tuesday because Monday is a injury management day for a thumb. Cool. Tuesday to Wednesday, there are 4 teams on back-to-backs. 4. Atlanta, probably no worries with back-to-back and resting there. You've got the Nuggets. You've got to worry about Aaron Gordon, who's been sitting most second halves of back-to-backs. Jamal Murray's coming off a hamstring as well. We've got to watch. You got the Knicks and what happens with the point guards. And then you got the Spurs, who haven't been sitting anybody on the back-to-back. It's less than 2 weeks left in the season. We'll see if anything cracks up there. And this is their 5-game in 7-night period as well. 4-game in 5-night period. So that's the beginning of their, that's game 4, game 5 of their 4 and 5 nights period. Sorry, game 3 and 4 of that period. So that's what we need to watch there. In terms of chunks, Tuesday through to Saturday, that is 5 days. Who's got 3 games there? Understanding again that Friday is a 10-game day. And for most of you, you will be able to stream it, but some of you won't. These guys play 3, and they're interesting. Ryan Rollins. Last game, what I think we can determine with the Bucks is it's going to be a mess. We don't know. We saw before the announcement of Damian Lillard's DVT that it was Gary Trent that was getting the numbers. Then the next game, it was Ryan Rollins who started playing more. And then we saw a big Kevin Porter game when Giannis went out. And then Giannis came back and Kevin Porter played nothing. And then in the next game, Kevin Porter scored 16 points in a quarter and his minutes pushed up. So overall, it could be Rollins, it could be Porter, it could be Trent. Was it influenced how much by Big Boom AJ Green was out last game? Possible. Anyway, Rollins, I feel he's going to lock in as a starter here. Doesn't mean he plays 33. He might play 27, but he's there. Adem Bona just has to be grabbed everywhere. I know that you're all adept at grabbing Bona, but just make sure you've done it this time properly because, look, yeah, Yabusele is going to play the 4 a lot. They're going to have guys. Interestingly, they upgraded Kyle Lowry to questionable. Why? Still no Maxey, still no Oubre, still no Drummond. I'm going to be absolutely stunned if those guys play. All right, here's a question for you to drop in the chat or in the comments. What is more likely? That Tyrese Maxey plays a game this season? Plays any more games this season? Or Zion Williamson plays any more games this season? What's more likely? I think they're both 0, to be honest, but we'll see. Jared Butler. Yes, Kyle Lowry, for some reason, is coming back. Maybe. Old mate Jeff Doughton's got 2 games left. Hood Schifino's got 5 left. We'll talk about that in a second. But Butler has been very good. And he's worth looking at. So has Lonnie Walker. Again, all of this can be blown up if they just say, all right, here we go. It's Oubre, it's Maxey. They're all back and they're ready. And even Lowry. Like that, it makes no sense because this team needs to lose literally every single game. They cannot afford to win a game here, Philadelphia. So I don't think those guys are playing. But Lonnie Walker, Jared Butler, Adem Bona, we like that. Vit Krejci. Last game, it was the night watchman. Mohamed, why are you gay? You are gay. And he started likely to match up with Giannis. That doesn't mean that he's going to play any minutes in this next game, and it could be Krejci who goes back into that starting lineup. He has been solid when he gets 28 minutes, but that could blow up in your face easily. And the last one there is Kevin Porter Jr., along with Rollins. He can have the big games. He can have 15 minutes. We know what he is. He's bad, but he can have the blow-up games that do work pretty well. And with 3 games in 5 nights, there is the chance, can you get 2 good games maybe? Like, that's a stretch, but 1 huge game, 2 bad ones, is that enough? It could be. It could be. And that's sometimes the tough decisions we make in fantasy at this time of the year. For the 5 games in, or the 5s and 2s, what happens over the next 7 nights? Is there any weirdly bad schedules? Yes. Brooklyn and Orlando played 2 games in the next 7 nights. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to go all in on Drew Timme, I'm really interested in Restore Black, I want to go and get Goga Badadze long term, or I'm really interested in Zion Williams, or Keon Johnson, or in desperation stages of Tosan Evbwamwan. It's a bad time to do it. You stream them on individual days if it makes sense given your structure, remembering you try and eliminate single day streams as much as possible depending on how many moves you have. You just want to max out games played as best as you can. So long-term holds of Nets guys makes no sense. Even someone like Cam Johnson, D'Angelo Russell, Nick Claxton, how confident are you they even play 2 games? I wouldn't be confident at all. The Magic guys, different story. Paolo and Franz, you hold them, but everybody else, after their individual games on Tuesday, you see you later. Bye-bye. Well, the Nets don't even play Tuesday. They play Monday. And then you can do your moves after that. Let's do some contract tracking stuff. Mainly, we're looking at Philadelphia here because that's where most of this stuff is. Jalen Hood-Schifino on a 2-way has 5 games left. Jeff Doughton Jr. has 2. Alex Reese has 4. Philip Wheeler on a 10-day contract has 2 left, although he can sign another 10-day. Marcus Bagley on a 10-day has 1 game left. He can also sign another 10-day. So both of those guys might be able to play out the rest of the season. And then we go to Toronto, where all of their 2-way guys, one of them is Ulrich Shomshi, who's out for the season, and then you've got Jared Rhoden and AJ Lawson. They are now at a stage that they can just play every game. Rhoden's been out for like a week and a half, sort of preserving those days, so they can play every game now, the Raptors guys. The only one there is Cole Swider, who's on a 10-day. He's got 3 games left that he can play, although he can also sign a second 10-day contract to take him through to the end of the season. And they may or may not do that. I don't know, but he is getting minutes at the moment over AJ Lawson. So again, we've just got to be cognizant of that. We'll come back and talk about some key injury statuses, points league streaming, and category league streaming. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and just look at it and go, what? Where is it? Where's my money? Where did it all go? You've been dining out. You've been online shopping. You've been paying subscriptions, entertainment stuff, movies, theater, sports. It's easy to lose track of where the money goes, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances, but it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, tracking all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you don't just manage your money, you start building your wealth. Instead of juggling the multiple apps for the different banks and investments and all that sort of stuff, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off for your first year. Today's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. With baseball season starting up, going, how about my Padres, by the way? 4-game sweep of the Braves. We're cooking. There's no better way to get in on the action with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. You can get the NBA and the playoffs in there, but you can mix it with strikeouts or RBIs or first innings runs. PrizePicks keeps every game exciting. So, when you build your lineup, you can look at, hey, what's going on with the Yankees and their bats? Are they just going to be banging in home runs with these crazy torpedo bats? Maybe. So maybe you put Aaron Judge in there, or you look at Shohei and his steals, or maybe you want to go to the GOAT Xander Bogaerts and see what sort of stuff he's doing. What at the actual GOAT, Jackson Merrill? You can put his numbers in there. Yeah, I'm a baseball guy now. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code LOCKEDONNBA. For $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup, PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, let's take a look at some injuries and the key statuses that we need to pay attention to for the games on, what day is it? Tuesday. Yep. Last game for the Sixers, we saw the big fella, Quentin Grimes, resting, and we saw Gershon Yabusele resting the second half of the back-to-back. They are both off the injury report, and they are ready to go. What we also need to check out is the status for the big guys, or the small guys actually, in New York, the point guards, because Juice McBride and Cameron Payne have just been out. So they've been rolling DeLon Wright and Tyler, come inside. Tyler Kolek. So there's Juice McBride and Cam Payne. And if one is out and the other is in, then we use that guy. If they're both out, we go to DeLon Wright. And then if somehow he's out, then we go to Kolek. It doesn't appear that, look, again, here's the guess. How many games reckon Brunson gets in the end of the regular season? 2? I think 2 would be my guess for Jalen for the rest of the year. The Knicks point guards, we need to check their statuses. Jeremy Grant, I probably don't need to check his status, to be honest, because he's going to be listed doubtful, then not play. If he isn't, if he isn't, I'll be surprised. And I also don't think that Sterling Henderson's going to play. Scoot's dealing with a concussion. He missed the last game. Usually you get about a week for those. I don't think there's any rush to push him back with a bruised brain, so probably sits out on Tuesday will be my guess. And then Bradley Beal, who he was questionable for their last game, and then Budenholzer spoke pre-game and said, maybe we don't really know. There's no real time frame. Which, that to me, Michael, that doesn't really sound questionable. That sounds like he won't play, but again, I don't know. I'm sure you've seen it. We've talked about it yesterday, and I said that this probably is the end of Kevin Durant's regular season. They haven't ruled him out for the regular season. They've said he's out at least a week. And those of you who are smart and switched on would know there is exactly 2 weeks left in the NBA season. So Durant's missing half of that. He is a drop in all leagues. Actually, that's not true. In a roto league, you can sit him on the bench because it costs you nothing. Also remember, in a roto league, there are 14 days left in the NBA season, but only 13 game days. In one of my roto leagues, I've got a slot that I'm -9. I'm 9 behind the pace. I need to make sure I'm getting games in every day into that slot. So just make sure you are at a space here with 13 game days left. The most that you can get into a slot is 13. So just be aware of that. Durant can sit on your bench in a roto league. The question's going to be, who do I add? I don't think there's anybody. I think you're going to get a mixture of a bunch of guys. And if Beal comes back, nothing really changes. He just sort of takes 2/3 of Durant's minutes. But you'll get Gillespie. You'll get Jones, Allen, O'Neal, Dunn. You might get 10 minutes of Bol. You might get Cody Martin. I don't think there's going to be any clear... We saw Durant earlier this season. O'Neal would do something, and then he wouldn't. Then Allen would do something, and he wouldn't. And Bol would do something, and then he wouldn't. So I don't think there's any clear ad there for Durant. We'll see what happens in the next game, but I wouldn't rush to grab anybody in that particular spot. We also need to check on Johnny Kuminga, who fell hard last game, but then they called it ankle soreness, which I'm going to say, sure, no worries. So we'll see. We're not rostering him, but him being out helps Moses Moody, helps Brandon Pajemski, helps Guy Santos Alhalpa as well. Fanta Pants, I expect plays. Kevin Huerter, he's out on Monday. I think he plays Tuesday. And then the Raptors rest. Now, they are not going to be... Oh, just got the updates on the Knicks, by the way. Juice McBride out. Let's see what else. Do we get a Cameron Payne update? Cameron Payne, John Kuminga officially questionable. Do we get a campaign update? Out as well. All right, so we are firing up DeLon Wright again. There you go. At least we got that news. That's good to know. All right. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Raptors rests. They cannot they cannot catch the 6th seed in the lottery. So they're going to stick at 7. Their problem is that the Spurs are coming hard for them. And the Spurs are 3 behind them. The Raptors have won 4 in a row. So if the Raptors keep winning, they would move from 7 to 8. So they need to stop winning. So they, I believe, will continue the resting period now. I didn't think the Spurs would fall this hard. They have. Therefore, the Raptors need to keep this on-off rest situation going. So I believe in this game that you will see Rowan Barrett out and Quickly and Pirtle returning, and just going to be on-off all the way through. Frustrating. We check on Cole Anthony. If he plays Monday, almost certainly won't play on Tuesday, but we need to check that one. The headmaster, Jamal Murray, missed the last game. He is officially questionable, along with Aaron Gordon for the Nuggets. And I talked about how Gordon probably sits on one half of the back-to-back. He is questionable for Tuesday's game, so we'll see if that's the one he's out. Jokic is also probable for that one too. And then, we don't have word on this yet, but are the Wolves guys suspended? Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo, they're both ejected in the last game. I think there is a chance of it just because of how it sort of spilled into the crowd, but we haven't heard any word on that. And obviously, if those guys are out, that does help Michael Conley. It helps Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It helps Jalen Clark. It helps boost the value of Jaden McDaniels. I think I might have already said that. And then you might even get a random appearance from the big fella Luka Garza or the big man Josh Minott, who also just never seems to get on the court, which is frustrating because I like him. Let's talk. Should we talk points leagues? We probably should talk points leagues and we should talk streaming. So let's get into talking about the good old-fashioned Yahoo points. You know how I do this by now. We're talking a couple of guys who are under 30%, a couple of guys who are under 20%, one guy who's under 10, and one guy who's under 5. That's how I like to do this. So we stretch ourselves to multiple different league sizes and league competitiveness things. Also remembering that at this point of the year, there's not that many teams active in your league, so pickups are a little bit different. We are still going hard into Bona. He has to be the guy there. Even though Yabusele is returning, they will just start those guys together because their other big man is Alex Reese, and their power forward stocks are exactly nobody. I guess it's Ricky Council and the big man himself, Justin Edwards, who are 3s, but that's sort of where we're at. So Bona is pretty locked in here. I got Ryan Rollins there. Again, it is risky. You can get ported at any point, but it does appear that Glenn Rivers is going to stick with him as the starter. I like that. You've got Zach Ricochet, who every time he has a big game where the scoring is big and the usage is up, the next game, Quinn Snyder goes, settle down, big fella, you're playing 23 minutes and you're going to shoot 1 of 10. Although he doesn't tell him to shoot 1 of 10, that just happens naturally. But Ricochet is worth looking at. Kevin Porter is worth looking at. Vit Krejci. Now, I always look at Vit. Now, do I have any Czech people watching this? Anyone from Czechia? Any Prague natives? I don't think I know any other cities in Czech Republic, and my apologies for that. I should know more, but I cannot think of any off the top of my head. Anyway, what is VIT short for? Or is it just VIT? I feel like there's a better name there. I am going to Google that. And upon Googling it, again, Czech fans, let me know. I think it's just VIT. It says maybe Vitek, but it looks like it's just VIT. I don't know. Okay. Vit Krejci is a Yahoo points option. And I do have Luke Kennard in. You say, Josh, he didn't even take a shot in the last game. 100% true. New coach, Asalo. Is he going to do anything with Kennard? And the reason Kennard is here for me in this game is because I do not think Ja Morant is going to play. Morant is in on Monday. He's coming back off a 2-week hamstring absence. It would seem pretty stupid to me if he played the back-to-back. But stupidity abounds with hamstring injuries in the NBA. We will see, but understand when I'm projecting Grizzlies guys out, and Kennard's really the only one we're going to talk about here because Pippen's just rostered everywhere, as he should be. I'm under the impression that Morant does not play in Tuesday's games because he's returning from a hamstring injury. So we'll just see exactly how that plays out. We'll go to ESPN points, and honestly, the list is just, well, why wouldn't I be honest? But the list is the same. It's Bona, Rollins, Ricochet. Throw Karis LeVert in this mix as well if you wanted to. Kevin Porter Jr., Vitek, Krejci, and the Duck, Luke Kennard. We've got category league streams to get to, but today's episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. Watching sports live is great. You're going there, you're hearing the squeak of sneakers on the hardwood. You are going and hearing the crack of the bat on the ball, the atmosphere, the pretzels, the hot dogs, the popcorn, the meat pies, the overpriced sodas. It's all there. And one thing you don't want to pay more for are the tickets, and that's where Game Time and Game Time Picks comes in. It filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Imagine if there was a Game Time Picks for stadium food. What a W that would be. For stadium beers, in fact. Hey, can you filter out the fluff and find me the best beer price at the stadium? Be great. Game Time, there's a new idea for you, but that's not really what the point of this is about. We're talking about Game Time Picks, highlighting super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck with seat views before you buy, the lowest price guarantee, and also when you're looking at the prices, no surprise fees. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks and download the Game Time app, create the account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So now we can go in and talk category leagues. Points and threes is where we're going to start things off. Streaming in who we like for that area, for that combination grouping. And again, at the top, because like I said, we are expecting that Ja Morant doesn't play. It's the Duck, Luke Kennard. This is what he does. Moses Moody, whose value would elevate further if Kuminga is out, and I actually do expect Kuminga is out, although I haven't projected it as him being out just yet. I've got Karis LeVert on there. Now, he is an adventure, to say it kindly. He is an adventure. What are you going to get from him? Are you going to get the 90% shooting night with 7 assists and 8 rebounds, or 1 point on 11%? And I feel like I say the 1 point on 11% games because they're always the funniest, where someone shoots. Actually, that's impossible. You can't do that. It's when you get the 2 points on 11%, 1 of 9 shooting. I feel like it happens a lot. Anyway, Karis LeVert is there. Lonnie Walker, if there's anything the man does, it's points and threes, and they're going to need him to get shots up, although he did get some assists last game, which was an interesting wrinkle. We go to Vic Krejci as well, and then the man that has been over-rostered all season, and I've just hated on him from a fantasy perspective. Don't hate him, just providing analysis on his game. Budrick Hield, Shavano, he's a points and threes guy, and if Johnny Kuminga is out, that's going to boost Buddy as well a little bit further. Should we look at assists and steals? We probably should. And we're just going to go straight to Milwaukee because I just think these are the two best options. The Master Thief himself, Ryan Rollins, and Kevin Porter Jr. Both guys filling in for Dame Lillard. Both guys with assist potential. Both guys can get steals. Rollins more than Porter. If only soup throwing was a category, we could maybe get an advantage to Porter there. They both can play bigger minutes. They can play lower minutes. They're both in this mix. I've got Michael Conley there. If DiVincenzo is suspended, which, again, I'm not really sure, but maybe if he is suspended, then you're going to see Conley's value bump up even further. We have Karis LeVert, the wild card. You've got, for deeper leagues then, Blake Wesley, who, again, it is a busy period in the Spurs schedule. They could get cooked by 40 points, and he plays 23 minutes. Wesley can be a 5, 6 assists, 1, 2 steal player. That's interesting. And then the one that probably doesn't get many assists, but he's got 5 steal upside, it's the painter, Matisse Thybulle. Now, he was really disappointing on Sunday, playing just 13 minutes with a steal. But usually, you put yourself in a spot where, hey, I want to get bulk steals. Thybulle's my chance to get bulk. There are guys like Wesley who might get you 1 or 2. There are guys like LeVert who might get you 1 or 2. But if you go, I want 5, hardly anyone better than getting Matisse Thybulle in there. He might not do it because he might play 14 minutes. But he could play 20 minutes, get 5 steals, have 3 blocks, hit 3 threes, and yeah, you're loving that overall end result. What about for the big guys, the boards and the blocks? And I am going to include this man on here. It's Goldfinger, Charlie Bassey, who, for some reason, after suffering that knee injury, which, again, they were pretty non-specific about a lot of stuff around it, he's back. He played 10 minutes last game, and Bismack Biyombo has been DNP'd for the last 2 games in a row. It was very confusing to me the way they handled Bismack Biyombo, and I understood that when Bassey went down, they needed to play him. But what were they playing for? They could have played Mamu. They could have played Sohan at center. I didn't understand the point of bringing in 34, how old's Biyombo? 34-year-old Bismack Biyombo to play 19 minutes a night. For what reason? I don't know, but they did it. But now that Bassey's back, I think that those 10 minutes can merge to 15 or 16 minutes. And in that time, he can get you 5, 6 rebounds, 1 or 2 blocks. I don't think that Bassey is going to start, at least immediately, but there's a potential. I also don't think he plays both of these games on the back-to-back, but we watch that. Goga Badadze's minutes are up. He's not a must-grab by any stretch of the imagination, but they do have a 3-game in 4-nighter, Monday through to Thursday. And in that period, there is some value there in Goga getting the rebounds and some field goals and some blocks. I've got Mitchell Robinson there. Of course, he's not going to play in a back-to-back. We know that part of it, but that's okay because in 17 minutes, 10 rebounds and 2 blocks is possible. I've got Osa Ighodaro there, who's splitting the minutes sort of with Mason Plumlee. With Nick Richards, although Plumlee did play in the last game. Iguodala is a rebounds guy. He can block a shot and have high field goal percentage. I would love to see the 30 minutes a night, but it just doesn't appear like it's going to happen that often. We go to Peyton Watson, especially with the potential that Murray is out or Gordon is out. And what is interesting is that with players out, Westbrook is staying at 24 minutes a night, and Watson started. They went without a point guard last game. They started Christian Brown, or even you want to call it Jokic at center. They had no point guard. It was Brown, Watson, Porter, Gordon, Jokic. That's a crazy lineup. So Watson is getting a ton of trust. He's blocking a million shots. And Gordon could be out. Or they just play Watson anyway. He's interesting. And then in Toronto, Orlando Robinson. I know that Pirtle should be back for this game, and that means Robinson likely comes off the bench, but he's still getting 23 minutes or so, 24 minutes, and it's probably enough. It just puts his priority down a little bit lower, and then when Pirtle's out, the priority rises, which I think makes complete sense. If we look at the percentage streams for field goal percentage, Charles Bassey. Now, it does require him to play, obviously, and I think he will. It probably requires him to play 17 minutes, which might be harder to do, but he's available everywhere, and we've just got to at least be aware that Bassey is back. I've got Badadze there and Mitchie Robinson. These are the guys that you look at the top of the boards and blocks and the top of the field goal percentage as well. So it's a pretty nice little 3-cat package that you can get from a Bassey, a Badadze, or Mitch Robinson. For free throws, again, we go to Luke Kennard with Morant out. We go to Conley with the ability for that to bump even further if DiVincenzo's out. And then Ricky Council, who's had a bad free throw game last time, but I think his minutes are fine. The volume should be all right. He generally is a pretty good free throw percentage shooter for the most part. And that is the Daily Look Ahead for Tuesday, April the 1st. It is 7 games. I'm just going to double check this. I believe, oh no, it's not a regular start time. We've got a 7:30 p.m. East start time as the first game. That is 3 games on at 7:30, so that's interesting. I'm just going to do a quick scan to see if there's any other injury reports listed here. Interesting listing Aaron Gordon as questionable for illness and a calf injury management. Again, he will not play both games. And they've got Jokic and Brown as probable, while Murray is questionable. All right. But also news, Amen Thompson is not listed on the injury report. He sprained his ankle yesterday. He went to the locker room. He did come back in and then didn't play much in the fourth as they were winning by 1 million points. But he's not on the injury report, so Amen Thompson is ready to go for Monday's games. I want you guys to hit the subscribe button. I want you guys to keep, if you can keep supporting the channel, I would really appreciate that. Dropping your comments down below. And guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.